Hello everyone, welcome back. In this part, we're going to talk about buttons and pagination in CSS. So for buttons, you know that we have this button tag that we can work with this. And we can have our text inside this to show just like this. But for changing the style of our button, we can use several things that we learned until now. For example, here you see that we have our border around our button. We can make that disappear right here. And after that, maybe we want to give this some background of, let's say we want this kind of thing. After this, we can have our paddings to go on, for example, 1 rem, 2 rem right here. So we can have our button in different size. Of course, we can change our font size to be, for example, larger here. And we can add our hover effects to our button. So, for example, we want when user hovers on our button, the background of this is going to be, let's copy this one and make this a little darker here. Now you'll see if we hover, this is going to be changed. Another thing that you can use for your buttons is to use your border radius for this style. For example, if I give this 5 pixel of border radius, you'll see this is going to look better. Of course, you can have the background of your color to be in the white and change the border color to divide it from background. For example, you see here it has its default border going on, but you can change the border color. For example, let's make this red here. You'll see now we have this, but pay attention that this is not solid border. So we can have set, for example, 2 pixel of solid red border right here. And we can use some cool hover effects on this kind of buttons, which when we hover on them, we were going to change the background to the border color here, and then the color of our text to be white. Now you see, if I hover on this, this is going to be changed. And of course, you can have your box shadow right here for your hovering. Let's say we want this to be 2 pixel on 10 pixel here with the color of black. You'll see now if I hover on this, we're going to have this box shadow coming too. And if you have some other buttons along this one, you can see how they're going to be shown. But let's say you don't want these to have these gaps between them. So what you need to do is to make this float in the one direction. So here I'm gonna make the float of these to the left. Now you see we don't have that gap going on there. But in this type of thing, you see it doesn't good really look to have these border radiuses right there. So we're gonna delete those 1, 2. And now you'll see we have this kind of group of buttons going on. Another type of buttons that you can have is to, for example, have some click text inside your button. And when you hover on this, there is going to come something after this and showing right here. So to add our dynamic content to our button, we're gonna wrap text inside our button into span. And then here we're going to target our button on hover mode, and then we want the span inside of it with after right here. Then we can have anything that we want going on to change when we hover. For example, if we want to add some content to our button when we hover on this, we can add our content property right here and give the value that we want. For example, we want this simple arrow here. You see, now if I hover, we can have this here. Now you see when I hover on this, this is going to be changed and shown. And of course, you know that we have some codes that we can work with them to add something to our HTML and CSS. For example, this code is going to give us this kind of arrow right here. Another thing that we can have is to have 3D buttons in our designs. So to do that, as always, we select our button, we give this some background. Let's say we want this kind of background here. Then we give this our color, the font size, and our paddings here. And here we can have some border radius going on too. Let's say 5 pixel. And here we can have simple box shadow for our button. So here, let's say we want this here 0, 10 pixel here, and then the color, let's make gray. Now, if I add my border radius 5 pixel too, you see now we have this thing going on. And we want, when we click on this is going to be 3D. So we add our button right here and add this active after that. And here we set our box shadow to change from what we had, which is 10 pixel in the bottom, to be, for example, 4 pixel in the bottom and the same color. Now you'll see if I click, it's going to change. But notice we don't want this one to come up. We want our button to go something like down. So here we can use our transform to have that effect here. And here we can have our translate Y method right here. We have 6 pixel of difference right here. So here, if I have 6 pixel here, you see now if I click on my button, it's going to show something like 3D things going on. After you learned all of these, here we can have some pagination, as you see in lots of websites. For example, let's say here we have a bunch of anchor tags right here, which they are page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then we have something showing previous and one at the last, which is going to show us next one. So here, if you come to your CSS, you can create these important type of things that you learned. So here, let's wrap all of these in some simple div so we can have better control on them. So here, let's first select our div, make the width of it to be 100%, and maybe we can have some background going on so it divided from the background. And here we can have select our anchor tags and use these as buttons. You know that we can change anything. So here, let's say, first of all, we don't want our text decoration to look like this. So we don't want these lines to appear. So we make the text decoration right here to be none here. After this, we can have our font size to be changed. For example, 1.5 rem I think is good here. And then after this, we can have some background going on for this. Let's say we want this kind of blue for the background. And then we can have some padding going on here, 10 pixel for the top and bottom, and 15 pixel for the sides. And if I make this like this, you can see the change. And of course, if I have some margin top right here, you can see these better. And we can make the color of our text to be white, for example, here, and anything that we want. But you see, this kind of style is very good for the active ones. For example, let's say we will have this one active. So we add our class name of active to here. And here we have our active class name here. This kind of background is good for that. So we see this is the active one that we have here. And instead of this for the other values, let's say we want to make the color of them to be black, as same as before, but we want some border for them. So we have border of 1 pixel solid, and it's good to have again this color for our borders. And we can have the same color for our color of the text too. Now you see this is how it's gonna show, but pay attention that here we need to change the color, and let's make these white here. Okay, now you see this is the default one, and these are the other page that we can go with. Of course, you can have this to be your hover effect and anything that you want, that you can use this kind of pagination if you are going to show lots of content, posts, or products in your web page. Please give a like and subscribe to catch next videos.